He's a very unique person within the freedom movement. And he has a very unique gift. He's been a long-term freedom fighter, but he discovered a way to do things for freedom lovers that I haven't seen anybody else come up with. He's come up with freedom strategies of how to live free that work in real life. How you can buy a home without having to give anybody your slave surveillance number. Right? You all know what that is, right? Okay? Without having to check your credit because you don't need a bank loan. No need to show anybody your W-2 or 1099 stubs or 1040 income tax confession forms. Okay? No need to suck up to a bank to please give me some good money, I need it. You know, no need of an escrow or going through an attorney to, handle a deal. And could be done with no money down, very little money, and if you want to make a lot of money out of it, you can. And you do it while you're doing people a good favor and helping them out in the process. The new location of Freedom Law School in Phelan, California, that property, was purchased for only $10 down. And that's a lot. It's supposed to be $1 down. That's what I was taught. But we didn't do it right, apparently. And none of the above. No slave surveillance number, no credit check, no bank loan, all those things. And with additional privacy that otherwise would not be available. Anyhow, please pay close attention to this man because he has a lot to say, and I promise you, there's no way he can cover it up in this short time, okay? So we're going to take a break afterwards, and he'll be available all weekend, but I've asked him to give you the best of what he can give you for a short time to try to give you an idea about this and how real it is, okay? So please give me a warm hand and welcome to our Freedom Law School student and a great American hero, Mr. Richard Diamond.
Well, thanks, everybody. I appreciate that. I want to, first of all, apologize to the cameraman. I do move around a lot, so you may want to go wide, but not too wide. It's kind of like it reminds me of when a friend of mine who's a professional speaker was showing me his video for the first time, and I had never seen it before. And he's a professional speaker and a lecturer, and I was like looking at it and had a face. I guess he read my mind because of my face, and he goes, "No, don't worry about it, Rich. The camera adds 10 pounds." And I said, "Well, Doug, how many cameras do you have on you?" Because he was looking pretty rough. Well, let's start by asking anybody in the room, where do we have the various government agents? Who's the agent in the room? Nobody? Come on, you wimps. Raise your hand. You know you're here. Well, I'm the only one raising my hand, so that must be me, I guess. But I am with the IRS. I'm with Innovative Realty Solutions. We are the ones that, however, we're the IRS that gives the houses back instead of taking them away. So let's get started. We are Realty Freedom. That's what we do. Who in the room is familiar with Realty Freedom, by the way? Have been to the website? Raise your hands. Not that many of you. Great. Well, the website, by the way, is www.realtyfreedom.com. And Dave, could you put the next one up? And he's leaving. Just in case you need to see the website, we have it up here. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. It's the third one on the list. So we do a lot of work there. Basically what we do is we are into no-risk real estate investing. In fact, we don't really call ourselves investors at all. We call ourselves creeps. which is creative real estate entrepreneurs and practitioners. Okay, and it's not scumbag, by the way. A good friend of mine, after talking to me the first time we'd ever met on the phone, he ran to his wife after getting real excited about what we do and said, "Guess what, honey? We're going to become scumbags." It's not that. We are creeps. We're creative real estate entrepreneurs and practitioners. We buy and sell properties all over the country. We do this with utilizing no money, at least not out of our pocket. We do it with no credit, and we never provide a financial statement, ever, in any circumstance. We do it with no slave surveillance number. In fact, I don't even have one, so it would be impossible for me to provide one. We do it with no EIN. Thanks. It's been that way for me for some time. No EIN, no TIN, no credit checks, as I mentioned, no license. You do not need a license to do what I do. And there's no government intervention. In fact, there's nothing that you'd encounter to make you regulatory under the government standards. You know, you'd have to actually raise your hand and request for them to regulate you. In my world, at least. And for those that are in the audience that have been to the boot camps, which is what we call our seminars, by the way, boot camps, and there's a reason for that. We'll cover that a little bit later. But we also, at no time do we take property into our own name. But yet somehow we find a way to make money at doing real estate. So we are a little bit different, as you can well imagine, than the conventional real estate investors. We do things differently, three different ways. And you see a lot of late night gurus teach real estate, whether it be Carlton Sheets, Wade Cook, Ron LeGrand, whomever. Lou Brown's another one. We do things a little bit different. One is we don't believe in taking risk when we do real estate, particularly taking personal liability. You take Carlton Sheets' course, for example. I'm sure a lot of people in the room are familiar with it. And by the way, I think Carlton and Wade Cook, all these guys, Robert Allen, Ron LeGrand, they all have very, very valid information. I highly recommend anybody that wants to get into the business get their information. I have all their information. Came here to know. An example of that is Carlton Sheets' course. I think it's tape 2, side B. He starts right then talking about going down. They got very good nuggets in there, but not many of them actually understand the issues that you know, or the bank and getting a loan. Standing on the carpet, as Paymon mentioned, and begging for a loan. We just don't do that. It's not something I'll ever do, and you'll never hear it come out of my mouth. And in fact, you won't hear it coming out of anybody that's been to any of our boot camps or have gotten our courses. It's just not necessary. So that's one way we do it a little bit different. We also, the second way is we don't take risk. In fact, in many cases, we actually conduct the transaction where we actually put the seller at no risk as well, which is kind of unusual for in a lot of cases. But we actually practice that win-win solution that you've all heard about. That's rarely actually practiced. That's what we do, and in fact, that's the only way we can make money in the business. And the third way, which is slightly different, but it's important to point out, is we follow the law, and we follow the law as it's actually written, not perception of the law, but the actual written law itself, which is very unusual. As I mentioned, some of these late-night real estate gurus, they've got a lot of good information, but in many cases they don't understand the actual law. Wade Cook's another example. He's got an entire course on the ins and outs, ups and downs, loopholes, etc., of paying your lawfully what he considers taxes. He just simply doesn't understand. He assumes there's a liability there. So he spent all this time to put this information together, and it's actually irrelevant. It really is. And then the fourth way that we differ from most other people is we actually have fun in what we do. I'm not saying they don't, but we have a ball doing this. And any of you that have been to the boot camps and been on the conference calls and gone to the website, you'll see we have a lot of fun with doing it. And as far as I'm concerned, I've found what I'll do for the rest of my life. I love it. So let's get started. Let's talk a little bit about real estate. You put up the next slide. This is a quote that I keep in mind every single day. And Dave, if you could slide it up a little bit to the top, it'd probably be easier for people in the back to see. Can everybody see this, by the way? No? Okay, it's probably a little small, maybe. It says, "I'd rather work for 5 years doing what most other people will not do so that I can, for the rest of my life, do what others cannot do." Something like that. Okay? So basically, it's something that I live by every day. I just work hard, get at it, and And I'm totally convinced that in just a few years I'll be able to do what other people will not be able to do, as well as the people that work with us. And we'll go over that in a bit as well. Okay, it's kind of difficult for me to see from over here, but if I could take this off, I would, but I've been instructed not to. I have to stand in one place to some degree. This is how, one way, particularly how we do business, how we, with Realty Freedom, conduct ourselves. And it's under the law, and of course, the supreme law of the land, the Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, no state shall impair the obligation to contract. Okay, and if you're familiar with the Hale versus Hinckley decision as well, that's quite an interesting decision that I think a lot of people in this room will really like to read sometime if you have not yet. But you have to read it a little bit later. It's harder for me to see it from here. Okay, can we go to the next one? This is what the essence of no-risk real estate is right here. In the world of no-risk real estate, we make offers based on what we can get from buyers. That's it. You'll hear me say it over and over and over, and that's what we do. We make offers based on what we can get from buyers. And in many cases, we are actually selling the property before we actually have to buy it. Okay? We just, we do contractually put it under contract to purchase or to lease, and then we sell it on the back end prior to having to exercise our option to purchase. Okay, so the next one. Let's start with what the three money requirements in our nation are. For each individual person in here, we all have three money requirements, and that's of course money now, money per month, and money in the future. And what we do at Realty Freedom, and most of the methods that we utilize, they fall within these three money requirements. Okay, as you can see, if you need money, today's needs is, you know, like a down payment on a car, or past bills due, things like that. And of course, maybe some materials from folks that are in here, these folks that are offering the products available. Then you need money now. Okay. Then you also perhaps need money per month for groceries or the water bill, the light bill, things like that, and maybe monthly dues and association fees. And then of course we need money in the future for retirement, perhaps, or to go play. Okay. And something else you'll see that us point out here is that. For those of us in the room that do not have a slave surveillance number, and they're not going to be getting that money down the road that you're so much looking forward to getting, I'm sure, okay, when you retire, you know, that, what is it now, $860 a month top end, we can help with that. And I'll show you today exactly how you can do that. Now, I can't help you with Medicaid, Medicare, free cheese, and food stamps, but I can show you how to get it on the back end, okay? Let's talk about the 4 ways to do real estate. No matter what your name is, whether it's Trump or Diamond or whomever, Smith Jones, if you're doing real estate, it's going to fall into the purview of 4 ways, and that's it. As I said, Donald Trump's doing the same thing we do. He just does it perhaps with a few different zeros behind it. But the 4 ways is wholesaling, retailing, lease options, and structured financing, and that's it. Wholesaling is actually quite easy, quite simple, and very, very fast money. It's buying low and selling low. Okay? It's the business, as it says here, the business of locating houses usually needing repairs at bargain prices and quickly passing them to bargain hunters at prices well below retail. An example of that would be, let's say you find a $100,000 house, and for you folks that are in California, yes, you can actually buy a house in this country for under $100,000. It's not an outhouse, a real house. Okay? But let's just take the example of you find a house that's worth $100,000 after repair value is what we'll call it, the ARV. Okay, if I had a whiteboard, I'd be writing all over it, but I have to stand in one spot, so I'm going to keep complaining about that. But if you find a house worth after repair value of $100,000 and it's ugly, okay, maybe it's pug ugly, really nasty, roof falling in, maybe the floor rotting out, but yet it's got potential. Okay, which is hard to imagine. Again, maybe there's mold and mildew smell in there, and even one of my favorites, cat urine. If I could bottle that stuff, man, it'd be great. But you basically you look at a lot of houses, and you find a house that's worth $100,000 after repairs. You make an offer on it based on a formula that we utilize. We don't just pull it out of the air, by the way. We actually run a real live formula, and it works. And in this case, I'd probably offer somewhere around 25 to 30 on that particular house if it needs, let's say, 10 and 12 in repairs. But let's say it needs 15 in repairs. So if you want to sketch this out, I'll try to paint the picture for you. But if it's a $100,000 house after repair value, Okay, it's not what it's worth now, but after repairs. Let's say you pick it up for $30,000. Okay, what you're going to do is put it under contract for $30,000, giving that seller, at the time that you put it under contract, a nice crisp Hamilton. That's what we use in many cases. Sometimes it's a Washington. What I'm talking about is, of course, is a parchment piece of paper with a deceased notable imprinted on it. Okay, and you just snap it and you hand it to them, and that's your option consideration, excuse me, your good and valuable consideration, which is one of the 4 elements of a contract. So now you have the house under contract for $30,000. It needs 15 in repairs, let's say, or 20, and now you have a choice. You can, of course, go fix it up, which is retailing, and we'll cover it in a minute. Repair the property, hire the contractors, go through the hassle of dealing with that. And I'm sure we have some contractors in the audience. If you were at one of my boot camps, I'd be messing with you by now, as well as the real estate agents. I know we have one up front right here. But you can go and fix the property up and put that, let's say, 20 grand into it. You'd have 50 after expenses of another 8 or so, and you'd make around $42,000 in the back end. Everyone understands the buy low, sell high scenario of the retailing, which is, as it says on the second one, it's the business of locating houses at bargain prices, usually rehabbing them and selling them to the end user for all cash. That's a very, very rewarding business, retailing is. Extremely rewarding, because you're taking a house that's in deplorable, ugly condition and bringing it back. And believe me, the neighbors will come next door and bring you brownies and cookies and thank you. And in some cases, they'll try to marry you off to their daughters. It happens. It's a great business, very rewarding. But you can also make the decision, let's say if your crews were busy or you hadn't put together the contractors yet, you can wholesale it. If you picked it up for 30, there's a whole lot of people out there that want to retail houses. So you can easily sell that house tomorrow for 35, and that's wholesaling. You basically are taking the agreement. Let's say I have an agreement with Dave to purchase the house. He's the seller. I say, look, I'm going to buy the house for $30,000, and I'll give you the $30,000 in 30 days. Here's my 10 bucks. Snap, snap. Hand it to him. I always make it a crisp one, just to impress him. And so now I've got 30 days to perform. Then I go off and I find Kevin. Kevin is a rehabber. That's what he does. He fixes them up to sell them on the back end, or he maybe fixes them up to rent. And then I'll sell it to Kevin for $35,000. Now he gives me, generally the way we do it, we conduct it the way I like to do it, is he gives me $5,000, cashier's check generally, certified funds, or cash, doesn't matter, gold, silver, etc. And now he has the ability, we make out an assignment of contract. We can do it on the hood of a car. We can do it at Wendy's. Wendy's is one of my favorite places to do business. And now he has, and I hand him the original purchase and sale that I had with Dave over here. He now has the ability to purchase the house. And he gives me $5,000 to do so. And that's it. That's wholesaling. You walk. In fact, in many cases, it's an ugly house. If I wholesale it, I don't even go back to the house. I don't want to see the ugly thing. I mean, it's nasty. You just sell it and move on. Then Kevin goes and fixes it up, repairs it, and either rents it out or sells it. He makes the back end amount of money. Now, originally we were talking retailing, we'd make 42. He's going to make 5 less than that. He'll still come out pretty good. So you just leave the lion's share of the money in it for them because they're doing the lion's share of the business. But that's wholesaling and retailing. It's quite simplified, actually. And now structured financing is, obviously, as it says, the business of creating financing to purchase, which allows you to sell, acting as the bank, receiving monthly payments without the use of any lending institution involved in the transaction. And they just don't come to play in it. Okay, and the offer to purchase is structured so as to market to sometimes non-qualified buyers by bank standards. Okay, this allows for an almost instant sale. They sell very quickly when you're selling them owner financing, believe me. It's an instant sale which usually closes within a few days of locating a buyer who has a reasonable down payment. And what's a reasonable down payment? It really depends. Depends on the purchase price of the house. Depends on a few factors. But I can tell you, if they have $6,000 to put down, I want 7. If they have 7, I need 8. If they have 10, I need 12. The reason being is I'm owner financing this house. I want it to hurt. I want them to come out of pocket with something. I really want them to put something up. It's not because my greed glands are pumping or anything. Well, maybe a little. But I just want them to put something down, something significant. In fact, I don't mind if they borrow it from Aunt Mabel. It's fine by me. But I want them to stick to that house so they're not going to move on. Okay? This usually, it generates a cash profit now, a monthly cash flow, and a profit when your buyer sells the house or refinances the house. On structured financing is the best way in the world to hit all three of the money needs. Money now, money per month, money in the future. And we'll go into this a little bit later. And in fact, the structured financing, by the way, is, after all these years, and I've been doing this now for 11.5 years full time, it's all I do, this is absolutely my favorite way to do business. I love this part. And again, for you that have been in the boot camp, you know why. It's creative, it's fun, it's a ball. I mean, you're solving a seller's problem, particularly that seller that has gotten themselves into some kind of pickle or another. Maybe it's maybe the 3 Ds, death, divorce, disaster, who knows, and you're helping them out. And then you're finding a buyer that's presumably got some credit blemishes or maybe debt ratio problems, or maybe they're self-employed, and in many cases they didn't think they could ever own a home, never realized the American dream, as they say. So you're helping these folks get cleaned up or what have you and get them in a home. So it's a ball. The final one here is lease options and options. This is one of the most simplistic ways to do business, but it's also one of the most profitable, as you'll see. And it's the business of taking control of a property by leasing it from the seller and retaining an option to purchase at an agreed upon purchase price and terms. Okay, what we generally do is what's commonly referred to as sandwich leases. We just do it a little different, as I mentioned. In addition, you must have the right to sublease it to a tenant buyer, I call them a resident buyer, giving them the right to purchase from you. Okay, that's basically it. Lease options are quite simple. You simply find a seller that will lease it to you with an option to price. Okay, let's say, well, I'll come up with an example of one. We just purchased. I was putting signs. My assistant was out at the time, and I was putting signs up in the front of a house that we already had. We've had it in inventory for about 4 years. The people ended up moving out. Boo-hoo. Had to sell it all over again. Bummer. Got another down payment. So I was next door putting the sign up, and the gentleman came up to me and says, "Rich, you still buy houses?" Of course, I've known the guy for 4 years because I've had the house next door. "Well, sure, I still buy houses." "Are you selling?" And he says, "Yeah, Marcy and I are getting a divorce." And after I told him I was sorry to hear that, condolences, but we moved on, he said, "Come buy my house." "Well, okay, what do you want for it?" "I don't want anything. I'm getting a divorce, I just want to be done with it." And you'll find this to be very prevalent. It happens all the time. And he's in a pickle. He's behind one payment, and he can just see where his credit might slide, and then he will have at that point gone through a divorce and messed his credit up, which is for some reason important to him. Doesn't really matter to me. So he comes over, and as it turns out, I asked him what he owed on it. He owes $110,000 in the house. Now, this is a house that, keep in mind, I got the one right next door to it. We sold the last time we sold it. We sold a few times. They keep giving it back, which is, really, I'm losing a lot of sleep over that one. Just keep getting another $8,000 every time. But it's such is life. But the house is worth $140 easily, and he owes $110 on it. So I said, okay. I kept asking him, "You sure you don't want anything for it?" Nope, just want to be done with it. So I ended up talking him into letting me give him $1,200. And literally, I did. I just felt like he needed to have something out of it, and it's an incentive for him to show up at the closing table a year from now anyway, because he'll have some money coming. But so we walked in the house, I looked through it, walked in and out, said sign here, of course. The terms, if you want to jot it down, is the house is worth $140,000. He owed $110,000. We're going to give him $1,200. Let's call it $1,000 for the time being. So we're actually controlling the property for $111,000. Okay, his payment is $1,050 in that range, and some change, $1,050, and we are going to give him nothing up front other than, of course, the Hamilton, which I did give to him. His wife wasn't there. I would have given them both 2 Lincolns. Okay, then I wrote it up as we're going to lease it from him for 24 months with 2 additional periods of 12 months each, with an automatic extension. So I've controlled the house now for 48 months. For the next 4 years, I control that house. Okay, he's already moved out, he's moved on, and we've sold the house. We did it in about a week and a half. And we move very much quicker, by the way, than real estate agents do. It's not because we're magic, it's just because the pool of buyers in which we fish in. We sell to people with blemishes, okay, or debt ratio problem. Now, we sell straight out as well, but it's, there's a whole lot more people out there that have some small blemishes than there are people with perfect credit, okay? And I'm still waiting for the day, by the way, that a patriot comes up to me and says, "Well, I'm not giving you my SS number." I'm like, hallelujah, let me sell you a house. Honestly, I'll give him a discount even. I'm just looking forward to it. I haven't come across that person yet. But so what we've done, of course, we turned around and sold it for, now how much did I say it was worth? $140. We sold it for $144.9. Why? Because we can. We can. They expect to pay a premium. In fact, in this one, I think we were going to sell it for $144,900. We ended up giving about a $2,000 discount because it needed a couple little odds and ends. So we sold it, let's say, for $142,000, I think, with $6,900 down, and the payments coming in are right at $1,200. It's $1,195. So if you factor in what we've got here, we bought it for $111,000 and sold it for $142,000, $142,900 in fact. We got $6,900 down, and we gave him how much? $10 for now. We give him the $12,000 when we exercise our option to purchase. And we, of course, we take in $1,200 a month, and his payment is $1,050, which we agreed to make for him. See, with us, when he tells us this situation, I said, sure, I can buy your house. In fact, or I can attempt to sell it. In fact, I'll make your payments for you while I'm selling your house, which kind of blew him away, and that's what we do. Now, I'm not going to make them until I find my buyer, but I'll make them from then on for the 48 months, and no problem, because I'm allowing my buyer to do so. They're going to pay me $1,200 a month. I'm going to turn around and pay out his $1,050, make $150 a month, every month. And of course, also, I tell the seller that I'm, boy, there's a lot more of an echo now. I tell the seller that there's, that I'll handle all the maintenance and all the repairs. I'll take the responsibility of them below $1,000. And I'd like you, Mr. Seller, to take care of all the maintenance and repairs above $1,000, which of course his insurance is probably going to take care of most of that anyway. And then of course, I turn to the buyer and say, you know, Mr. Buyer, I'll take care of all the repairs and maintenance above $1,000. I'd like for you to take care of them all below $1,000. Okay? I mean, after all, it's going to be your house soon anyway. I mean, aren't you going to take care of your own home? And then, of course, to the seller, well, you know, Mr. Seller, it's customary for you to pay 50% of the closing cost. Yep. And I'll cover the other 50%. How am I going to cover it? You know, Mr. Buyer, it's customary for you to pay 50% of the closing cost when we get a closing. I've taken care of it. And that's it. So your profits are net, is what I'm pointing out here. It's net, net, net. We've got a smile back here if someone's been in the boot camp. He's like, hee hee. It's a lot of fun. And look what we've done, too. We've solved the seller's problem because his credit's saved now, and he's not having to dump more and more money in this thing to keep it going. And the buyer, we're getting them cleaned up. We're getting their credit cleaned up in the back end. Okay? So let's move on. Thanks, Dave. Dave's been holding that thing forever. He just finally had to put it down. This is the basics of real estate investing. I'm going to have to go a little quick here because I got very little time to cover a lot. As I mentioned, we consider ourselves creeps, creative real estate entrepreneurs and practitioners. This is the way that we actually purchase the homes, or the houses, I should say. It's a house and a property when you're dealing with a seller. It's a home when you're dealing with a buyer. Okay? It's a little semantics, but it actually works. When we're buying wholesaling and retailing, we buy them virtually the same way, and that's generally we pay all cash. Don't worry about the money, by the way. The money is the easiest part in this business. It really is. You find the deal, the money's there. Okay, and I don't have enough time to go over it now, but don't trust me, by the way. Test me. Go out and find a deal and let us know about it if you want some help, and we'll come up with the money. That's the easiest part. But two easiest parts are the money and the buyers. And it just so happens that's where most people are concerned. But that's no problem. But we pay all cash for them, so we generally get them through realtors. The reason is the seller's going to pay the commissions anyway. So we just have them pull a MLS listing, a multi-listing service listing for us, and we go out and see a lot of houses. We generally look in the listing under the terms and try to locate something that says in the remarks section, ugly, needs TLC, special addendum required, needs repairs, that kind of thing. And we go out and look at a ton of houses and make offers on just about every one of them. In your area, and no matter where you're from, you can pull this same kind of listing. Okay? Now, with structured financing and lease options, we get those through a different place. Because of those, we need to get in little to nothing down. Okay? Not all cash here. The reason is it's not an ugly house. Okay? It's a beautiful house. And in fact, when we do lease options, I would highly recommend you doing it in the very, very nice area. Okay? The extremely nice area. In fact, we do it in markets where there's brand new houses surrounding it. No problem at all. I prefer that. And in that regard, since we cannot get in putting a lot down, we don't deal with real estate agents in that regard because there's commissions involved. Now, yes, the seller pays the commissions, but we still would have to give them enough down to take care of that commission in some capacity or another. Okay, if you follow what I'm saying. Even though the seller has to pay it, it's a rare seller that's going to want to sell their house and then also come out of pocket with, let's say, $9,000 if it's a $150,000 house and the commissions are 6%. So we get those through for sale by owner ads, or signs or what have you. And that's what FSBO means over there. Okay? When you're analyzing a deal, what we always ask ourselves in our analyst department, I'll talk more about Realty Freedom and exactly how we work in a few minutes, but we have a whole analyst department that analyzes deals for individuals like yourself that may want to bring them to us. We have a property potential worksheet that we go down, and I'll cover that in a little bit, but it's an informational gathering device. You can download it from our website. You put all the data on it. It's also a script. It acts as a script, and it's also a reference tool for later. It's quite thorough. But if you go and download one, find a deal, or that you think's a deal, let's say you call a seller out of the newspaper, or you run your own ad saying, I buy houses, or what have you, then you can fax that into our office, and we'll help you with that. We'll help you structure that deal and put it together. That's what we do. Our analysts, when they're going over that property potential worksheet and going down the sheet, they're going to be asking themselves these 3 questions right here. And this is what you need to be asking yourself when you're talking with a seller. Can I steal it? I don't really mean steal, but it's just a term. But it means, can you get it real cheap? And if you can, you're probably talking about an ugly house here. Or can I create an assumption, or can I assume the mortgage? And by the way, we do assume mortgages that are non-assumable because we read the law. It's the Garden-St. Germain Act of 1982. It basically states that a citizen can put their home into an entity such as a trust or what have you for estate planning purposes, and it won't trigger what's called the due on sale clause, the acceleration clause, which is clause 17 in your mortgage for those of you that own a home. Second page, halfway down. It doesn't trigger the due on sale clause. Okay, and we'll talk more about that later. Basically, Congress passed laws in '86 stating that the mortgage companies can accelerate the mortgage if you transfer it over. Okay, instead of paying 360 payments, you now have to pay it all at once whenever it's transferred. Okay, and in fact, it's FHA, it was March 31st in 1986, and for VA, it's December 15th of the same year. But we'll cover more of that later. We basically assume houses even though it's not assumable. It's no big deal. So we ask ourselves the questions, can we steal it, can we assume it or create an assumption deal, and can we lease option it? If the answer is no to all 3 of these, we move on. As simple as that. So let's do the same if we could. Locating and calling sellers. These are some examples of how you can do that, where you can find the leads, and we go over it very thoroughly. In fact, this Thursday night, we do a conference call every Thursday night if you care to write the number down. It's free of charge. You just pay the toll charge, of course. It's 7 o'clock Pacific time, 10 o'clock Eastern time. That's PM, of course. It lasts for 1 hour, and the phone number is, let me see, it's on the website, of course, but it's 405-244-5001. 405 area code 244-5001, and then you hit the code 2387. 2387 and the pound button, and that'll get you to us. But the reason I bring that up is each week we talk about a different topic, and last week we talked about, this past Thursday, I gave a little lecture on structured financing. In fact, we went over an example and showed you how you could become the bank. Which, by the way, have you realized that there's a reason that the banks have the huge columns, the granite steps, and the walnut desks? Okay, it's because of the 8th wonder of the world, as they say, compound interest. Well, you can take advantage of the same thing. In fact, we're doing nothing different than the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and the Loebs do. We're doing the same thing, a few different zeros. But anyway, you may want to, this coming week on the conference call, we're going to be talking about finding motivated sellers. And we'll go over a whole list of how we do that, 35 different ways. And then 4 we'll never do, but different ways you can find properties. But what I would suggest is you locate and call sellers. You want to study the property potential worksheet as you download it off the website. In fact, you can get it from our table today. You can just grab one. Study the PPW is what we call it. Identify the ads of the people you'll be calling. Photocopy the PPW. Make the calls and fill in the information on the copy of the PPW, and use a different one for every one, of course. Make notes of the seller's motivation, which is what we're looking for, by the way, is seller's motivation. And then if the seller sounds extremely motivated, which I'll go over the motivating questions you want to ask them, then make sure we get the information, or just work it through on your own. We're going to show you through the boot camp stuff we do, and the seminars, the videos that we sell, etc., how you can do all this on your own. And then this is steps to do with the lead. Once you've made contact with the seller, and preferably all the parties, you're going to want to, of course, complete that PPW that we just discussed, or use your own, and then determine if it's in a marketable, sellable area or neighborhood, which is a very vital component to what we do. We need to determine if it is or if it's not. And then you want to confirm the rate of repairs, the after repair value, the fair market value, things like that. If it's in a good area, as it says, you're going to want to go for lease option or structured financing. You want structured financing, it means I'm getting the deed. We're getting the deed, okay, in one manner or another. And we get the deed right into a trust or what have you. It really doesn't matter. We can do it agreement for deed, land installment contract, right into a trust, land trust, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of methods and means, and of course you'll learn more if you decide to go to the website. The reason that if it's in a good area you want to do it these two methods is because it can be rarely can be bought all cash because it's not ugly. Now someone's not going to necessarily sell a beautiful home all cash, the price that you want to pay, I should say, which when we buy all cash we're getting it 50, 60 cents on the dollar or less. So it rarely can be all cash. They're going to want too much. So you're going to want to do structured financing or lease option. And on the back end, selling it, it can be sold, as it says, short-term lease option or agreement for deed, which is where, we're doing owner financing. It's just when I do owner financing, I never give the deed. Never give the deed to someone. I hold on to it. I give them agreement for deed, and they can, of course, announce to the world that it is their house. It's just on agreement for deed, okay, or land installment contract, whatever, depending on your state. If it's in a questionable area, one thing you don't want to do is sell at lease option. Why? Because as it says, you're going to get if it's a questionable area, you're going to get a questionable resident buyer. Nothing but problems. So only do lease options in gorgeous areas. Do structured financing in the other areas, okay? Because at that point, it's their house. Toilet goes bad, 2 o'clock in the morning, who do they call? Do they call their mortgage company? Which you are? You're the bank? No, they fix it. They repair it. Okay, you don't even know about it. As it says, make offers on information gathered and make offers based on what a buyer will pay, and then follow up if the offer is not accepted right away. The next sheet is duties of a creep, not a scumbag, by the way, of course. Which, of course, sometimes I've been called that. People have this bad connotation of real estate investors. Sometimes they feel like we're, these buzzards that swoop down, and grab the little lady out of her house and then go nest in her attic. That's not what we do. In fact, I've never held a firearm to anyone's head in my life to have them sign a contract. So we generally do help them. I'm not going to go over this a lot, but there's a lot of different duties. And I think everyone's got an information pack, right? As long as you made it back from lunch. They've been distributed, or have they not?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was unaware. But I'm not going to go over that, but you can cover that later. Let's talk about who owns these type of houses. Very briefly, they're people just like us. I was asked earlier today, can I do it in such and such area? My answer to that always is, well, are there any humans that live there? Because if you know how humans are, they're just an interesting breed that seem to get themselves in all types of little pickles. So if there's humans there, there's possibilities for us to solve problems, which is basically what we do. That's all we get paid to do, is solve problems. That's it. It's just that simple. But these people could be possibly in a divorce or a forced transfer. Maybe they can't afford the payments, so they have a loss of job, death of spouse, failing business. I've dealt with that many times. And they're needing to sell the house to make up for the business that's going under, or what have you. And maybe they inherited the house. That's another big one. As long as you can get through probate and get through the siblings that are squabbling over mom and dad's old house, then you may be able to structure something. We've dealt with major lawsuits pending. Maybe they've outgrown the house. We deal with the empty nesters. That's another big one. Or another one that they've built a new house, or they're building a new house and they cannot necessarily close on that house until they first have this house taken care of. Okay, so their debt ratio's out of whack, or what have you. Maybe they want to move back home, or as I mentioned earlier, they get transferred or retire to another state. Bankruptcy is another one. Foreclosures are about to be. We do a lot of work with pre-foreclosures as well as post-foreclosures. That's after the banks have taken it back, which is the next one there. It's post-foreclosures, which is called, by the way, REOs, real estate owned. That's what the bank terminology is. And the banks don't want the houses back, by the way. They want the payments. It makes them look very bad when they take houses back. Particularly when December comes around, and in January they have to go to their board meetings and their stockholders meeting, and they got non-performing assets on the books. So December is actually a great time to buy houses from banks. We scoop them up. Okay, let's go over finding the bargains. We can run ads, of course, saying I buy houses, any area, any condition, etc., or I'll buy your house, lease it, make your payments for you, handle your maintenance, repairs, call me. You think they may be interested? Conventional real estate agents don't do that. Not the ones I've known anyway. We can call ads, of course, out of the newspaper, which is something I very much encourage people to do. Put out flyers that say I buy houses, and I think in the back of your pack it may have an example of a flyer. Don't go there yet. Okay, I shouldn't even have mentioned it. We get them for real estate agents only if they're only if they're ugly. Investment groups, auctions, pre-foreclosures, out-of-town sellers, that's a big one. You can simply go down to the tax assessor's office and see if the tax bill goes to a different address than the subject property itself. And if it does, maybe they are living outside the area and having some hassles with the property. They need a problem solved. Imagine that. Business cards are a huge one. We put business cards everywhere. In fact, I have 4 kids. They love putting business cards on phone booths everywhere. In fact, you've got to slow them down sometimes. And by the way, when the phone company calls and complains about you putting them all over the phone booths, you just deny it. I don't know. I always just say, God, I've been trying to keep them calm. They just keep putting them out there. I don't know. Those people that work with me. But you got for sale by owner signs is a big one. That's a huge one. Because sometimes people actually put a sign in their front yard that they're selling their house and they won't run an ad. It's the oddest thing, but they do it all the time. And in fact, we just had one purchase because a gentleman that is one of our students was on his way to the video store to return the videos, and he swung through a neighborhood just like he's been taught to do because he had a few extra minutes, found a sign, half of a sign, literally, a small one like this, hanging half off of a pine tree. And he called on it, and they were like surprised to hear from him. Oh my God, it's working. Our marketing is working. Like, okay, so we bought the house. We did a lease option on it, and in fact, we already got someone in it. But I won't cover the rest of that. What do you need to do business? The next sheet. A fax machine in your home or office is very good. Property potential worksheets, obviously you can get them from the website. A camera is good, but it's optional. Transportation, of course, you're going to need to be mobile. I mean, you can do a lot from your home, of course. And in fact, I don't get out of my chair until I know that I have a deal. I literally will not. It's a real pet peeve of mine. I do not get out of my chair unless I know I have a deal on the front end and the back end, meaning the buyer and the seller. Or at least I'm pretty sure I do. A telephone is pretty paramount, I'd say, because you do need to communicate with people. It is a people business, of course. A mobile phone's optional, but I'll stand here and tell you I will not have bought I would not have bought at least 50 properties, at least, if I didn't have a mobile phone, at least. And by the way, we've done over 700 so far in 11 years. And then maybe a few dollars for binder deposits, of course, as it says at the bottom. $10 is usually the one I use. Actually, I use Washington a lot. In some states, you may want to use Franklin, but it really depends. Of course, Paymon was taught to do $1, and he put $10 down in his house. So, anyway, questions to ask yourself. This is something you can go over making money in the business. That's a good sheet to go down. Next sheet is where will this work? Of course, we've covered that. It works anywhere. I used to wait at my seminars, wait until someone asked that question, because they always do. You know, will it work in my area? And I ask them where they are, and then I have someone over the side writing down Baltimore, Maryland, and then I put it up there and I go, I'm sorry, wasted your time. It doesn't work in Baltimore, Maryland. So, you need a refund? Okay, it's a lot of fun. 3 steps that you can take to eliminate a lot of floundering in this business. Decide what vehicle you can ride, and as it says, there's a million ways to make money, and there's a million ways, at least in the real estate business, but they all fall into this 4, by the way. And then, of course, learn the basics. Don't confuse, don't get caught in the stream that you need to know it all in order to move forward. Obviously it's called paralysis of analysis. Just learn what you need to do and go out there and get it done. And then there's 2 ways to get the education you may need. Of course, the first being the School of Hard Knocks. We've all been there. And I won't read all this to you, but you can understand why that was tough. There's another school, however, that anyone can enroll. The other school, the one that's the opposition to the School of Hard Knocks, regardless of your race, creed, color, sex, financial condition, etc. It comes with a lot less scars, and the rewards and success rate's a lot better. What is that school? It is, of course, the Institute of Prior Learning, which is the next sheet. And the people that are qualified to teach this school have gone down the road before, and that's what you're probably, in most cases, looking for. I find that those wise individuals will try to find someone that's already done it and pave the way a little bit, and that's what we're talking about here. And then the third way, of course, to eliminate all the pitfalls is to immediately go to your first deal with some assistance, possibly some coaching, and we offer a lot of that. That's what we do day in and day out. And as the bottom says down here, very bottom there, it says wealth comes from chaos. I believe in that wholeheartedly. Just go out there and stir up the pot, find out what happens and deal with it. Okay. I wanted to just briefly go over an example of the potential of, say, just lease options. This is just strictly lease. Remember we talked about earlier, we took $6,900 down on the deal we just did, and we got $150 a month. Well, that's pretty average, really. In fact, the 150 is quite low. It's usually 200 or above. But what this sheet is, I know you don't have it in your pack, but I want to show it to you. It's taking an example of, let's say, making $3 grand up front. Let's say you're, as it says on the top, you're going to work this real estate business for, is it 3 years? 3 years at the top? 24 months, right. You're going to do it for 24 months, then you're going to go off and be lazy again. Say you're real sedentary. And you're going to do the business and only do one a month, which would make you pretty much qualify for the Lazy Bum of the Year award if you only did one lease option a month. But let's just say that's the gig. And let's say you take in a certain amount. Let's say you take in, I don't know, $5 grand and you give the seller 2, which in lease options we rarely ever give them any money. And in fact, if they ask for money, if the seller asks, well, what are you going to give me when you lease my, when you buy my house? I say, well, let me think. What did the real estate agent give you when they decided that they promised to make your payments? They didn't. They don't. They don't give them anything. They just have signed the lease agreement. But let's say between what you got down and what you gave, you make $3,000 on the deal up front. Very, very, very low, but let's say you get that. And then you only make $140 a month. Now the first year, you're not going to make anything on the back end if you're doing this thing for, let's say, 12 months. You gave your buyer 12 months to perform. Okay, we usually get 36 to 48 from our seller, but we only give our buyer 6 to 12 months to perform. Okay, that way we have enough time to get them out, someone else in if they don't perform, which is rare, but just in case. So the first year you're not going to actually sell on the back end, not till the 12th month or the 13th month. Okay, if you follow me, so we're going to give them 12 months to perform, our buyer. Then the month 2, you get another deal, $3,000 up front, $140 a month, which now it's gone to $280. Okay, then the third month, you get another $3,000 up front, and then now you're making $140 a month, and it's gone to $420. And as you can see, you still got nothing on the back end because your first buyer hasn't performed yet. Neither has your second, third, etc. So then let's go down to the bottom. Can you move it up a little bit there? Thank you, sir. So the first year, let's say you've netted $46,320 just between your down payments and your monthly payments. And now, right now, you're getting a consistent cash flow of 1680 every month. Now the next year, again, you're sedentary. The next year you're going to do another deal, but now your first house you did in month 1 pays off in the back end because your buyer exercised their option to purchase from you. So you make the back end, which in this case is $12,000, which is also very low. Okay, that's really our average on lease options is $18,000 to $26,000 in that range. That's what we make overall on the deal. But in this case, let's say it's 12 on the back end, very low. So you're still on month 13th, you did another deal, but your month 1 deal paid off in the back end. So you've now made $3,000 up front, you're making $1,680. The reason it stays $1,680 is because every month one of your deals are paying off the back end. We're trying to keep it simple. Okay, so your $140 when they exercise their option to purchase goes away. Okay, but you replace it with another one, so it stays the same in our example. But you're making 12, 12, 12 each month on your back end. So as you can see, at the end of the second year, you've made, what is it, $200,160 at the end of your second year. So, and then keep in mind, if you go off and you start watching Gilligan's Island reruns for the rest of your days, the deals that you did this year are still going to pay off in the back end. Okay, you're not going to get any upfront money, but you're still going to pay off in the back end. So you've got another $144,000 waiting for you in the back end. Okay, so the next sheet. That's just an example of what you sofa spuds can do with this business. Okay, these are some motivating questions that we ask the sellers. If we could show you a way that we could we could buy your house, make your payments for you, handle all your maintenance and repairs, would you like to know more? What do you think the instances of them saying, yeah, I'd like to hear more? It's pretty high. I mean, that just depends on how you structure the question. If we could show you a way that we could pay your equity and assume your mortgage payment, would you like to hear more? That's another one. And what's more important to you, your overall purchase price or the amount you get in the form of a down payment? Okay, we're going to have to really start moving now. This is an example of the property potential worksheet. You can get one at the table up here. You can go to the website, which of course you guys got that. It's www.realtyfreedom.com. I can put the sheet back up if you want. But this is specifically designed, by the way, to ask the easy questions up front and then get the hard or more personal questions in the back end. Like, for instance, could you tell me a little bit about your house? For instance, What are you asking? They can all answer that. Or how many bedrooms and baths? I think they can all answer that. Ask them the easy ones now, because in the second sheet, if you could flip it, on the second page of the PPW, you're going to ask them, what do you owe on your house? A little bit more personal. But if you've done your job in getting to know the seller, and you've got a little bit of rapport going on, and you've done it in a manner that is a conversational manner and not an interviewing type tone, they'll generally divulge what they owe on the house. Now, sometimes they'll say, I just want to wash my hands of it, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I owe on it. Well, that may not be the person for you then. Maybe they're not motivated. Because you can believe, if they're motivated, if they're a motivated seller, they will tell you everything and anything you want to know. They'll tell it all to you. They'll tell you all the way down to what they paid for the house, their interest rate, everything. So, by the way, on the first sheet, those motivating questions I just went over are on there, okay? And then the next one. This is a little information about, and you may have these sheets as well, I'm not sure, but about the Realty Freedom and our membership. We do have our membership. Could I get one of these, Kevin? Could you grab me one of those? We do offer a 12-month membership. It is voluntary, obviously. No, one of these. No, it's a pink one. Anyway, but you can see what we have an exclusive membership-only area on the website. It's green. Thank you. The other pink, yes, right. The other shade of pink. It's like my daughter says with green lights, if it got any greener, it'd grow roots. So when people don't go at the stoplight. But we do have a membership-only area in the website, which you can go to once you become a member and get all kinds of tools, worksheets, forms, documents, that kind of thing that will really help you out. Of course, we do one-on-one consultations as well, and that's offered to members only. And we do have 5 free property submissions for the property potential worksheets. If you want to submit them to us, and we'll analyze them on your behalf or for you. In some cases, we even get on the telephone with you, with the seller, do 3-way conversations. And it's a lot of fun. We encourage you to record it even, so you can listen to it later. We also when you join as a member, you get 2 free cassettes. And then we have the newsletter. If you want to come to up here, by the way, even if you're not a member, you can sign up for our free newsletter that we put out each month, and it's basically whatever I think to talk about that month. It's quite interesting. And actually, this next month, I think we're talking about how we do what we do, as far as not needing a license, etc. And then let me see, opportunity for our Tape of the Month program or subscription service for that. And of course, we have 20% discounts on all the products for members. And then I forgot the other one, but you get the point. Oh, option. The other one is an option to purchase our boot camp video courses on a lease purchase program, because why not, right? We buy and sell on lease options, so we'll sell the video program to members only on lease option, or lease purchase, I should say. And it's quite extensive. This is just a little information about what's on the membership-only area of the website. And if you can just flip through a few of them. There's another example of some more information that's on the membership-only area. And by the way, we do have some boot camp videos over here. To briefly tell you a little bit about he's just going to flip a few there. This is the 35 different proven methods that we use to buy and sell real estate. This is on the membership-only area as well. The boot camp videos, we shot one in Maryland, which Paymon actually was there, as well as several other individuals. We had 46 people, if I remember right. We actually went out on the streets and looked at houses. We went into Baltimore, Maryland, and inspected houses up and down, left and right, told you what to fix, what not to fix, etc. And it was a 2.5-day boot camp. We were supposed to go to 8 in the morning till 10 at night, but I took a vote. I didn't, bring my bullwhip, but I did take a vote, and everyone decided to go on. So we went. The first night we went to 12:30, and instead of 10, we went over a little bit. And then the next night we went to 1:30 in the morning, and then the next day we were supposed to end at 1, I think, and we went to 3:30. So and they kept, wanting to do it, so I kept snapping the whip, and we kept going. So it's 20 hours worth of videos, the Maryland boot camp. And you literally see a convoy of cars going into neighborhoods, which is kind of fun, by the way. You go into a neighborhood with a camera crew of 3 cameras, lighting equipment, and 46 people dumping out of 6 vehicles. It'll get the attention of the neighbors. We actually interview the neighbor, one of the neighbors. He comes over and talks to us for a little bit. He was a little shy about the camera and the light, but it was kind of fun. But you can keep flipping, Dave. But we do have those available, and they're $495. And then we have an Atlanta boot camp as well, and we're now putting together the one we did in Irvine out here. So that's available as well. This is an example, the one you just put up. Can you go back just real quick? that's an example of the conference call that we do. As I said, it's in a series, so we go over a different topic each time. And of course, there's time at the end to ask questions, so please join us on the conference call anytime you'd like. And that's about it. I'll be available for questions. If you'd like to sign up for the free newsletter, it's 6 months worth of free newsletters for those persons that are here in attendance. And just give it your email address and your name. And in fact, you can make up a name. It doesn't matter to us. We're very private. So thank you. I appreciate it. And y'all have been great.
Okay, we're running a little bit behind. So although your program says that the next speaker starts at 3, let's go start at 3:05. At 3:05, folks, please be back in your seats so we can get started on time.